PNAA has a proud history built by our visionary leaders, dedicated members, and all of the chapters across the nation. But legacy is not only something we honor, it's something that we continue to build. Tonight, we will reflect on that, on what PNAA can become in the next 5, 10, and even 20 years. We will explore how PNAA can remain relevant, strengthen our membership engagement, mentor and prepare future uh, generation of leaders, expand our influence in advocacy, education, research, leadership development, community health, and inspire every member to take ownership of our shared future. We're honored tonight to be joined by the distinguished PNAA presidents, Dr. Leo Horado, PNAA President 2008-2010, Dr. Ray Rivera, PNAA President 2010-2012, Madeline Yu, PNAA President 2018-2020, and Dr. Marijoy Garcia Dia, PNAA President 2020-2022. PNAA Presidents, welcome to Kapihan sa PNAA.
Thank you,
Thank
Manny.
you.
Gabi.
All right. Thank you so much. So we are deeply honored to have four of you tonight. We are our last two episodes, right? Our guests have been the other previous presidents, and we are deeply honored that we have four of you tonight. So let's start our conversation about our future. Um, so I'm gonna ask the first question to President Madeline Yu. So when you imagine PNAA in the next 5, 10, or even 20 years, what do you hope our organization will look like?
Thank you, Dr. Manny Ramos. I'm really honored to be here tonight and with three of my other colleagues that I'm very proud of. Some of them have been mentors to me, my idols at work, and I'm a very proud PNAA member. So I'm sure you've heard the history from those who went before us. So in 1979, we organized PNAA because we really wanted to improve the lot of the Filipino nurses, right? We were working visa then, we were from a foreign land. People were looking at us with suspicions, and there were cases of prejudices across the nation that our human rights have addressed through the years. So now, how are we after 47 years? Because we're almost celebrating 50 years of existence, right? So we began with only 5 chapters, right? Everybody who are listening and those who are PNAA members, you know who they are, right? Shout it out. Michigan, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Southern California. We banded together to this organization we now call our own PNAA. So how many chapters are we now after our 47 years? Don't we have about 60 chapters now, membership chair?
61 and soon to be
61
62.
chapters from 5 chapters that we started with. And I don't know how many original members were there, but now we are almost 7,000, right?
Yes.
Yes. So we're growing, but if you look at it, the 7,000 is just scratching the surface. There's about 150,000 Filipino nurses among the 4 million nurses in America. So we really haven't scratched a lot of nurses and involved many of our Filipino nurse colleagues. So if I look at 5 or 10 or 20 years forward, I'd like us to involve many, many other Filipino nurses across the nation. Maybe 100,000? Is that impossible? We're almost 7,000, right?
Yes.
So going forward, as we have walked in the past, the PNAA has really done a lot of landmark activities, like the Immigration Nurse Relief Act of 1989 that really transposed us from working visa nurses to immigrants. And we became citizens because of it. We also were able to have Manila as a testing center for NCLEX because in the past we came here to take our boards, right? And if you don't pass, they send you home. So much has been done by the organization. So we have to thank PNAA that we became immigrants, we became citizens because of the lobbying of PNAA leaders. So I'd like to see that the PNAA will hold the torch as the pillar of advocacy for all nurses globally. Nurses, we instinctively advocate for our patients, but legislative and political advocacy is no less important in advancing our profession and patient care. So we have to do more on the legislative side because laws affect us, policies affect us, so we have to do more in the future. I'd like to see also our global summit and international nursing conferences to include the other countries where Filipinos work. So not just PNA America, PNA Philippines, but maybe PNA Ireland, PNA Dubai, PNA Japan, PNA Australia, and many others. Again, our native country sits in the ring of fire. So there's always disasters. There's always 19 to 20 natural disasters that visit our country every year. So the need for our humanitarian initiatives are always there. So I like to look back when we had the Kababayan Emergency Preparedness Fund, that where each chapter shared really all the efforts and initiatives, not just the community outreach committee, which has been really dynamic and wonderful, but then again, let's spread it out to all the chapters. And I'd like to see all the other chapters where it's non existent, right? So why isn't there a PNA Alabama or PNA Alaska? They joined us before and then they closed. Why aren't we in PNA Kentucky? So there's many more places where we can be. And again, I'd like to see, because we have really the care, the compassion, and of course the brains to do it, let us see all our members become the nursing leaders in all their chosen specialties. Thank you, Dr. Ramos.
Thank you, President Yu. Certainly, advocacy relevant then, relevant in our past, relevant now, and will continue to be relevant. Very good, great point. And I like how you invited our members and our PNAA to continue to reach out to the rest of the world for our global summit, and of course, our humanitarian causes and expanding our chapters. Thank you so much. Now, I'd like to turn to President Marijoy Garcia Dia. And if you could share with us, as the needs of Filipino American nurses continue to evolve, um, what emerging issues or opportunities should PNAA begin preparing for now?
Thank you for that question, Manny. First of all, may gabi sa inyong tanan, whoever's watching from across the world. I'm very glad that you asked that question. I think one of the most significant opportunities before us is preparing nurses for the digital transformation of healthcare. Artificial intelligence, data analytics, virtual nursing, and remote care are changing how care is delivered. Nurses must help shape these technologies rather than simply adapt to them. So, with that being said, these are no longer futuristic concepts. They are part of everyday nursing practice. And putting on my hat as a nursing informaticist and educator, I see many nurses feeling both excited and at the same time apprehensive about these changes. I believe PNAA can become the trusted resource that helps nurses build competency and confidence in navigating this new landscape. In fact, in my own work as a nursing informaticist, we are reinforcing the importance of educating nurses to become active participants in technology adoption rather than passive recipients of change. And what do I mean about that? We have been developing this framework of data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. So future nurses need to understand how to leverage this DIKW, so to speak, framework. How are we able to apply it also for our own organization? So this way we can ultimately make great decisions, clear decisions, ethical decisions. AI may provide insights, but nurses provide the wisdom, the context, the compassion, and human judgment that technology cannot replace us. So, this competency is not important in the workplace, it is also equally important at home. Many of us are caregivers for our aging parents and family members. Understanding digital tools, remote monitoring technologies, patient portals, and AI assisted healthcare resources will enable us to support healthier communities and families. And I think we made that mark, right? Being a leader in our community. But at the same time, we also need to be cognizant of the ongoing burnout, moral distress, and workforce shortages that continue to affect nurses all across the settings. One lesson that I learned during my term as the 21st PNAA president is that organization must evolve at the same pace as the profession we serve. So another emerging technology that is continuing is the migration experience of Filipino nurses. And I think through the advocacy efforts that we have been doing for many, many years, and now through the work of our CPRA task force, and also with the previous awareness that we have started during the pandemic, we leverage on social media to become a powerful platform for raising awareness of our own migration journeys, celebrating successes, and also highlighting barriers, workplace challenges, and opportunities for leadership and advancement. And I know that our very own Madeline Yu was featured in a recent HBO film, right? And we are so proud of that. So these stories help humanize our experience and will educate broader audiences about the contributions of Filipino nurses globally. So ultimately, the future of PNAA really lies at the intersection of leadership, technology, advocacy, and humanity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dia. Great points. And I know PNAA, with the advent of the developments in AI, we were there at forefront. Dr. Dia, you were busy speaking about this right from the get-go. So that I believe that is a great challenge for PNAA to continue to be involved in shaping that future in relation to technology and how this AI continues to integrate in our workplace and also in our homes, as you pointed out. Thank you so much. Before I ask the next question, I'd like to remind our audience, our participants, that you could use the chat box to start typing now the questions that you would ask our panelists. We will have that opportunity in the last 30 minutes of our 90-minute special episode tonight. So we've extended this program tonight up to 90 minutes, but please start typing the questions you would like to ask our panelists. We will have that opportunity towards the end. As we Let me turn to Dr. Ray Rivera. How can PNAA continue to grow and remain relevant while staying deeply connected to its mission, values, our culture, and heritage?
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. So I believe that PNAA remains relevant when it is clear about its purpose and courageous in its evolution. Our mission, values, culture, and heritage are not barriers to innovation. They are the foundation for it. The Filipino values of bayanihan, respect, service, family, faith, excellence, and community are timeless. And the question is how we translate those values into today's professional realities. PNAA can grow by listening more intentionally to its members, especially younger nurses and those who are not yet engaged. And that's very important, right? We must ask, what do they need from PNAA today?
Mhm.
What would make them feel seen, supported, and inspired? These are a difficult question, but we should really invest on these questions. And at the same time, we should continue honoring our traditions,
Mhm.
our history, our founders, our chapters, our cultural identity, but we must not become so nostalgic that we
Mhm.
resist change. To me, the future PNAA must be both proudly Filipino and boldly forward looking. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rivera. I appreciate your answer to that question. And it just pretty much reinforces the fundamentals, right, about our organization, which is listening, reaching out to our members, which is the core. They are the foundation of this organization. So thank you for reemphasizing that, and also reminding us that we need to continue to support and inspire them. Thank you, Dr. Rivera.
Yeah, and
Okay,
also one
yes,
important thing is should be psychological safety. Yeah,
psychological.
we you hear that in the literature. You hear that from other people and in the
Mhm.
literature. So psychological safety is very important that our members are free to ask questions and we need to listen to them.
Thank you, Dr. Rivera. To our president, Leo Horado, let me ask you this question. Could you reflect on how PNAA mentors, sponsors, um, prepare our emerging nurse leaders, and how do you envision it to be in the future?
Thank you, Manny. Naimbag nga rabiyo amin. It's so good to see 121 of you here tonight.
Yes.
That's a very good sign of commitment in learning about organization. So, reflecting on my PNAA mentors, my PNA sponsors, and how can I envision in the future? For me, PNAA has always been more than a professional organization. It has been a leadership incubator per se.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Many of us are where we are today because someone in PNAA saw potential in us before we fully saw it ourselves. And I remember that joining PNAA probably in 1990 as I was completing my master's at NYU and I needed to do some research about PNAA, and my topic was about addressing the issue of Filipino nurses speaking Tagalog at the bedside.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to find mentors, and I asked to be invited in a executive board meeting in PNA New Jersey, and I was so amazed how smart the leaders were, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe how smart they are. And little did I know that a few years later I became the president of New Jersey in 97, and that I became the president in 2008 for PNAA America. So somehow when they see that potential in us, they would start either encouraging us to participate, because that's how it happened for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the importance of mentorship. And again, there is, I think I've spoken this in many places, where there's a difference between mentoring and sponsoring. A
Yes.
mentor advises you, while a sponsor advocates for you when you're not in the room. They try to groom you somehow, even though you didn't know it. and then all of a sudden you know that you're involved. So I know that PNAA basically is very rich in leaders, blessed with leaders who have done both mentoring and sponsoring. So looking ahead, how I envision the future is trying to envision to intentionally prepare leadership pipeline. I know we're doing some leadership development right now, um, like ILDP or Camparuga. We just have to keep in mind that leadership development should not happen by chance. It should happen by design, like what we're doing with ILDP and Camparuga. So we should continue to identify promising leaders early, provide structured mentoring like what we're doing in P3, leadership education similar to some that we're doing in Camp Aruga and ILDP, doing some executive coaching, succession planning, and opportunities to lead meaningful initiatives or at every level from local chapters to the region and to the national board. Most importantly, we should keep in mind that leadership development should be viewed not as preparing the next president per se. We do that. We do view that. That's a part of it. But preparing the next generation of servant leaders who will advance PNAA and improving the health of our communities here and in the Philippines. Thank you.
Thank
I,
you, Dr. Horado.
I just wanted to add
Go ahead,
to
Dr. Rivera.
what Leo said. Mentorship has always been part of PNAA's DNA. But as we move forward, I believe we need to be even more intentional, not
Mhm.
just with mentorship, but with sponsorship. There was a thing that Mila said that she was sponsored by Dr. Horado for the FAA, and that's good, right? Because you need to have a preceptor, you need to have a mentor, and you need to have a sponsor as you move up the ladder or your career in nursing. But that's very important. Mentorship is terrific, so that we've been always been a part of our DNAA. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Manny,
Rivera.
Manny,
Yes,
if
go
I
ahead.
may insert a personal experience, because my mentor is Dr. Leo Gerardo. I
Yay.
had the honor of being the PNAA New Jersey chapter president when he was the PNAA president. So I truly aligned all my goals with the PNAA goals, and that there was Dr. Leo Girado every step of the way. So when I opened three sub chapters in New Jersey and we reached 1,060 members, he was there at the helm. And
Wow.
I believe that he also mentored me until I became president of PNAA and he became an executive director. He was there all the time. And I wasn't the only one he mentored. He mentored thousands of people. And I look up to him up to now. Even if he's a lot younger than me, he is my mentor. And he walks the walk, he talks the talk, and we need it. We need mentors every which way. So I advise those who are in the role of chapter presidents, align your goals with the national goals and you won't go wrong. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Manny, I would
Press.
also, Manny, can I
Go
add
ahead,
also,
MJ.
right?
Yes.
Because I think I saw some conversations in the chat in terms
Yes.
of differentiating mentorship and
And
sponsorship, which
sponsorship. Yes.
is true, right? It could be a dual role as well.
Yes.
I'm also acknowledging Dr. Reynaldo Rivera, who I did not know before, but because of my engagement at PNA New York through his best friend Eugene Ragat, I was introduced to Dr. Ray Rivera. At that time, I thought that he's a snob. But when you get to know him and you talk to him, then I realize he has a good heart. And that's how I was able to learn through him about leadership and engagement, right? But at the same time, I was also mentored by Lolita Compass when I was trying to understand what does lobbying means. And she actually brought us to Albany, and we did talking points like rapid fire conversation with the senators to convince them on how to advocate for our nurses and protecting our profession. So those are things that we need to actively engage, not just having the conversation with mentors, but at the same time living through the experience that they have, because there's really a lot that we can learn from them.
Very good, very good. Well, y'all, four of you should all be very, very excited, and PNAA should be excited too, because I wanna relate to you that Dr. Jurado, when you went to PNA Michigan in Detroit and was their guest speaker in their educational conference, and you talked about sponsorship, you inspired one of their board members while she is on ILDP and created her ILDP project management plan about sponsorship. And she's now the selected number one PMP, and she will present the Nursing Leader Sponsorship Academy, NILSA, at the Leadership Institute at the National Convention. She'll talk about sponsorship. So you inspired somebody about sponsorship, Dr. Jurado. We have about 5 minutes left before we go for our first break. So I'm going to ask the last question before we go to the break. And anybody can chime in on this one. How can experienced leaders pass on wisdom and institutional knowledge while also creating space for new voices, fresh ideas, and emerging leadership styles? Dr. Ray, do you want to start with this, or anyone? MJ? Or
This is such an important question because every organization must learn how to honor experience without limiting innovation. This is very important.
Mhm,
Experienced leaders have a responsibility to share history, right?
mhm,
Context, and lessons learned and institutional wisdom. So about PNAA, about where you work. So this is a great value in knowing why certain decisions were made, what challenges were overcome, and what sacrifice built the organization. This is very crucial. But passing on wisdom should not mean controlling the future.
mhm,
It should mean preparing others to lead it. We need to create intentional spaces for dialogue across generation. That's very important. And where seasoned leaders can mentor and advise, but also listen and learn. New leaders
mhm.
may communicate differently, lead differently, challenge traditional structures. That should not threaten us. It should energize us. There should
Very
always be
good.
psychological safety. I love psychological safety. Please read the book Fearless Organization by Amy Colemanson. Excellent, excellent,
Thank
excellent
you,
lady.
Dr. Rivera. I'd like to turn on to Dr. Marijoy Dia. How can experienced leaders pass on wisdom and institutional knowledge while also creating space for new voices, fresh ideas, and emerging leadership styles?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I know that the best leaders understand that leadership is a stewardship, right? And one strategy that I envision is really creating a digital leadership repository where future leaders can access lessons learned, governance resources, successful project examples, strategic plans, and also conference innovations. We often focus on passing information, but what we really need to transfer is wisdom, right? What
Mhm,
do I mean by that? So I love to read books and at the same time understand what the author is trying to portray. I also love storytelling, and that's really what motivated me to initiate a podcast. Because as we learn more about the leaders, I think that's where we're able to also understand who we are and also try to emulate that as a role model, right? And I know PNAA has been doing a great work in doing SWOT analysis, SWOT analysis, or even the SOAR analysis. So I think we should continue to nurture that ideation thinking, so to speak. At the same time, experienced leaders must be willing to embrace different leadership styles. Our younger generation brings expertise because they are digital natives. They can easily adapt and also reinvent innovation. Their approaches may be different from ours, but those are the strengths, right? So I have seen this firsthand with the growing nursing informaticists in PNAA. So I think the best succession planning is not replacing leaders with people that think like us. It is really developing leaders that can take our organization to places where we could never have imagined. So we should really embrace new ideas, and the future of PNAA is to create an environment where
Mm,
experience and innovation work rather than compete with one another.
Yeah,
very good.
And
to
Manny,
Joyce, to I'm sorry, to MJ's point, the best legacy of an experienced leader is not to be the last voice in the room. It is to make
Uh-huh.
sure that there are many strong voices after us.
All right. We have about 1 minute left before we go for a break. Go ahead, President Madeline Yu.
I like the model that PNA New Jersey has because we train leaders from the sub-chapter levels, same setup, bylaws, financial management, leadership training, and as soon as you emerge as leaders in the sub-chapter level, you're ready for the state level. You're ready for PNA and J.
Uh-huh.
And once you're done with PNA and J, the leaders have exposed you already to the national scene. So I love that concept. And before the advent of digital techniques, we used to have a 30-second elevator pitch to tell everyone what's PNA&J, who we are, and we have trifolds. Those were the olden forms of
All right.
handing down who we are, what we've done, what's in it for you. Leaders, you share what you can do now for the members.
All right, Dr. Horado, we have about 30 seconds left. Anything that you want to add to that question? How can experienced leaders pass on wisdom and institutional knowledge while also creating space for new voices, fresh ideas, and emerging leadership styles?
Again, institutional knowledge is invaluable. That's why it's so important that members should know the history. But again, it was mentioned that that should be our foundation, but not our limitation. So knowing the history sometimes it guides us in our ways in leading the organization. So it's important to always look back, but again, it's important to keep looking forward. And how do we help others? Is again, it was mentioned, we need to listen with humility and recognizing that every generation brings unique strength, different perspectives, technological expertise, and new ways of solving. And sometimes we think that our generation is the best, uh, but we need to move beyond that thought that each generation brings something to the table somehow.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. That wraps up our session A. We will go to our session B after a 5 minute break. For the break, well, you can use the restroom, consume your coffee or any beverage you like. But traditionally, what we've done lately for our break is to have some trivia questions. So what I'll do is I'll post the question on the chat box and I'll read it as well, and then you will answer it. The first participant to correctly answer the question gets a coffee gift card, right? And I'll take note of that, and then you can personally message me your cell phone number so that we could send it to you. So here is the question, and I'm gonna paste and read it on the chat box. You will answer on the chat box. What was President Jurado's acronym for his mantra during his term? All right, let's see. Oh, somebody got the answer. All right. Wow, lots of answers, but somebody got the answer right away. It's Rose Ferguson. Rose is the winner. I know Rose's phone number, so Rose, you're gonna get the gift card. Okay. We move on to our um, next
Please.
question, and that is, let me see here. Hold on. I'm gonna type it on the chat box. Okay. What? What? What year, right? What year did we become an organizational affiliate of American Nurses Association? All right, there it is. I don't see the answer yet. Oh, somebody got the correct answer. Aimee Tolentino got the correct answer. It was 2019. All right, so very good. Aimee, I have your phone number as well. You don't need to type that. So congratulations. Okay. And that wraps up our break. We go right into our session two. All right, panelists, welcome back. Let's go back to our discussion, and now let's talk about innovation, advocacy, and growth. So, to Dr. Marijoy Garcia Dia, what innovations or new approaches could help PNAA strengthen membership engagement, communication, chapter support, and member connection?
Wow,
In
that's
your
a
view.
great question, Manny. I think PNAA has already demonstrated its ability to innovate. One of our greatest example was our rapid adaptation during the pandemic. Like many organizations, we pivoted from traditional in-person programming to virtual experiences overnight, just like what we're doing. What could have become a setback, we made it as an opportunity. We embraced virtual conferences, webinars, and networking events that allowed our members across the United States and even internationally to participate in ways that had not been possible before. Another example that I'm proud of is the development of the special interest group in nursing informatics, which created a community of members interested in clinical technology, and also knowing that informatics is no longer a specialty but a competency. Every nurse now is interacting with in technology every day. In fact, the recent 2026 Global Summit hackathon that we had in collaboration with University of the Philippines represented another step forward. It encouraged interdisciplinary problem solving, creativity, innovation, and leadership. Imagine a future where PNAA members have access to AI literacy program, virtual mentoring programs, digital communications of practice. These innovations can strengthen our engagement and maintain that personal connection that PNAA has always defined. But I think what really is important is to make that first outreach. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't reach out to your local chapters, right, we wouldn't know what is the need. So it goes back again to assessments,
Uh-huh.
maybe facilitating the surveys. I know that our president-elect Bob Gahol made that intentional survey, so this way he can understand what are the needs of our members. I think it's really important for us to have that one-on-one connection. I know I've been promoting social media, right? But at the same time, we also need to reconnect on how to maintain that human connection with each other, like hang out with your local members, right? I know New Jersey, I always attend their picnic. But but within our own organization, within our local chapter, we can facilitate that engagement with our members.
Yeah,
Human connection remains to be
yeah,
relevant. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
thank you,
I
Dr.
just
Dia.
wanted to add about in terms of strengthening engagement, right? Whether it's
Mhm.
the workforce or the membership. I have a simple way to remember:
Mhm.
kinder, right? You
Kinder.
need to know what matters for the
Mhm.
organization, involve nurses,
Yes.
nurture growth,
Yes.
drive with purpose, empower through safety and equity, and recognize contributions. On the chat, I would like to share the article that I did at Nursing Leader uh, about engaging the workforce. It's a kinder framework for nurse leaders. So please read it. You would love it. The framework resonates with workforce engagement, psychological safety, belongingness, professional governance, leadership development, recognition, and retention. So just wanted to add that in terms of engagement. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you. And you'd be happy to know, Dr. Rivera, we actually implemented that kinder framework in the Camp Aruga, the North Central region last year. So they really had fun with it, and it was great to share that framework. And thank you for sharing that link to the
Yeah.
article that you all wrote. Thank you so much.
And
Um,
Manny,
yes, President Mads.
your kapihan is something that wasn't done before. Dr. Risa Mauritius Cube was something that wasn't done before. And I believe these two forum that you do now for PNAA members is really good, and it communicate makes the members communicate with each other, and it makes the members engaged in what's going on with PNAA. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you, President Madeline Yu. Yes, human connection can also happen even virtually. So thank you for bringing that up. I'd like to ask Dr. Ray Rivera, how can PNAA expand its influence in advocacy, education, research, leadership development, and community health in the years ahead?
Yeah. PNAA can expand its influence by being more intentional, more visible, and more collaborative. Dr. Horado mentioned several programs that we do have: our leadership development program, the Camp Aruga. All of this, when looking at it, are contributory for what we are doing. It's very intentional. In advocacy, PNAA should continue to speak up on issues that affect nurses, right? Filipino American communities, internationally educated nurses. We have a lot of publications, maybe around 4 or 5 publication on internationally educated nurses, health equity, workforce well-being, and patient care. In education, PNAA can offer high-quality professional development that prepares members for the future of nursing, leadership, AI, innovation, policy, research, and advanced practice. In research, we need to generate and disseminate knowledge about Filipino American nurses and their contribution and the communities we serve. Our stories, MJ talked about narrative nursing, and that's very important. But our data and scholarship are also essential. We need to publish more, uh, and we love that, right? Publish in GenPar, publish on Nurse Leader, Jonah, Outlook, Nursing Outlook. These are all the stuff where we could publish. In leadership development, PNAA can build stronger pipeline from local chapters to national and global leadership roles. And in community health, PNAA can continue to be a trusted bridge connecting health systems, communities, and culturally responsive care. To
Mhm.
expand our influence, PNAA must not only be present at the table, we must help shape the agenda, right? That's very important. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rivera.
I
I'd like
think
to ask President Madeline Yu, what bold action should PNAA take now to maintain a strong, united, and impactful future?
Well, the decade ahead will test the nation's 4 million nurses, not just PNAA nurses. We live and work in the intersection of health, education, and communities. The world has come to understand the importance of health in all aspects of our lives, right? If you look back in 2020, it was supposed to be the International Year of the Nurse and Midwife, and the nurses have been placed in really unimaginable circumstances due to COVID-19 pandemic. So the decade ahead will demand a stronger, more diversified nursing force that's prepared to provide care, promote health and well-being among nurses, individuals, and communities. So the vision of the Committee on Future of Nursing 2020-2030 is the achievement of health equity in the US, because we all know there's health disparities everywhere in minorities, in LGBTQ, in handicapped people, in immigrants. Many have health inequities. So the role of nurses in advancing health equity is to help these people live a very healthy life, and it's very essential. So whether you're in school, you're in hospitals, or in community health clinic, we address the root causes of health disparities. Our nursing profession is truly grounded in social justice and community health advocacy. So wherever you are doing your practice as a nurse, we usually act as the first line of defense, and we're the ones who are always in contact with all kinds of people. So more struggles, more challenges ahead.
Mhm. Thank you, President Madeline Yu. How about you, Dr. Leo Horado? What bold action should PNAA take now to maintain a strong, united, and impactful future?
Oh, thank you, Manny, for that question. If I could suggest one bold action, it would be this: continue to invest aggressively in leadership succession. It's good to see that there were three candidates for presidents this time. Would love to see every position opposed, because there are so many talents. Remember, organizations don't decline because they lack talented people. Organizations decline because they fail to intentionally prepare the next generation of leaders. So it is important that we should continue to develop the programs that we have, like ILDP, the mentoring program, this comprehensive national leadership development pathways that identifies emerging leaders. Like now we have the next gen leaders. And again, I mentioned about mentorship and sponsorship earlier. Um, Second, we should continue embracing innovation, and I think Dr. Dia talked about that. As you all know, in healthcare, it continues to change rapidly, and we cannot simply react to change, but we must help to shape it, so that it is important that we never lose sight of what it's important we never lose sight what
Mhm.
made PNAA exceptional. Also, our spirit of bayanihan is so important that we should not forget, because when we remain united by a common purpose rather than individual positions, and sometimes we get divided through political alignments, but we should try to realign ourselves after all that,
Mhm.
rather than creating divisions. So
Yes.
it is important to keep that in mind. And if you're an officer, or if you're a president or whatnot, again, as past presidents or past officers, our legacy will not be measured not just by what we have accomplished as officers during our tenure. It will be measured by the leaders we inspired, the opportunities we created, and the strength of the organization we entrusted to those who follow us. That to me is the true measure of leadership.
Wow, very great points, Dr. Horado. We have about 7 minutes left to wrap the session B before we go to the open forum question and answer portion. So I'm gonna ask the last three questions. First to Dr. Ray Rivera. In your view, what role does PNAA member play? Do each PNAA member play in shaping the future of our organization?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. So I think for me, every PNAA member has a role in shaping the future. The future of PNAA is not built only by national officers or chapter presidents. It is built by every member who
Mhm.
shows up, speaks up, mentors, volunteers, recommends a colleague, supports a program, attends a meeting, or simply encourages another nurse to belong. Sometimes we underestimate the power of one member's contribution, but organizations are strengthened by many small acts of commitment. Each member carries part of PNAA's story. Each member also carries part of PNAA's future. So the question is not only what can PNAA do for me? The question is also what can I help PNAA become?
Yes, love
Thank
it.
you.
I love it.
Manny, if I may add,
Go ahead, President Madeline Yu.
and I always say, bloom where you're planted. So,
Oh,
nurses work in many, many different settings. If you're a clinician, be the best clinician. If
mhm.
you're an educator, give your best to your students and develop the leaders of the future. If you're an administrator, don't just concentrate on the bottom line. Make sure you really go for the welfare of your patients and your employees. That includes the nurses and other healthcare employees. So advocate for patients, advocate for nurses, and advocate for the community. And that is the call of action that we have for all our members. Be the excellent person that you are. Thank you.
Thank
Manny,
you, President
let me,
Madeline. Go ahead, Dr. Jurado.
I guess just a two-liner. I would say that what role does each PNAA member play in shaping the future of our organization is that every member should be a steward of PNAA's future
Yes,
because the collective impact of engaged members is what makes PNAA strong.
very well said, Dr. Jurado. To build on that, I'd like to ask Dr. Mary Joy Dia, how can we then inspire our members to move from simply participating in PNAA to feeling a real sense of ownership and shared responsibility?
I think Dr. Jurado and Dr. Rivera have mentioned earlier the importance of purpose and also the question of not really what PNAA can do for me, but what can we accomplish together, right?
Hmm.
Throughout my PNAA journey, I have observed that members become deeply engaged when they see the impact of their contributions, when they are serving on a committee, when they are leading a chapter initiative, when they're mentoring a student, or even participating in those community health screenings, or even going to the Philippines for a medical mission, or being part of the educational content process. They begin to understand once they immerse themselves with other committees and also looking at other leaders that the success of PNAA belong to all of us. So I know many of you here are educators, and I do acknowledge Dr. Redlita Lapot when she mentioned that she was recognized when I asked her to represent PNAA during the COVID webinar with ANA and other organizations, where she was able to be part of that conversation, right? So I think when we emulate what we preach, it's important for us to also understand that active learning creates deeper engagement more than passive participation. So we really need to ask the question, what ideas do our members have? What expertise are they willing to share? What problems are they passionate about solving? So this way we can lean in on them to shape the future. We need to have a bureau of volunteers, right? So this way we're able to get all of this participation and engagement right from the get-go, not just from the local chapters, but at least nationally. So I think the shift happens when members stop asking what PNAA can provide for me, but really, how can I contribute to the future of PNAA? Because the ownership really begins with us, with each one of us. And perhaps, again, to Dr. Leo Jurado's point, the enduring lessons of Filipino value of bayanihan. Ownership is not about individual recognition. It is about collective responsibility. Each member carries a piece of that future. And I think together, and we have seen this, we can build something larger than ourselves. We
Uh-huh.
are where we are now because we stood on the shoulders of giants that paved the way for us.
Right.
Thank you, Dr. Dia. I can see that bayanihan there. Thank you so much. So, as we wrap this session B, we have about 1 minute. And what I'll do is ask each of our panelists to share a call for action. So, I'm going to start with Dr. Rivera. What commitment can we make today, whether as a member, a leader, a chapter, or a region, to ensure that PNAA's legacy continues with purpose, pride, unity, and impact?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. Will be integrative. Today we can commit to honoring our legacy by building the future with intention.
Mhm.
As members, we can commit to be engaged, supportive, and willing to contribute. As leaders, everybody's a leader, right? Leadership is a choice, right? We can commit to mentoring, sponsoring, listening, and creating space for others. As
Mhm.
chapters, we can commit to strengthening local impact while staying connected to the national vision. As regions, we can commit to collaboration, unity, and shared learning. As one PNAA, we can commit to moving forward with purpose, pride, unity, and impact. And
Mhm.
for me, the call for action is simply let us not only celebrate what PNAA has been, let us take responsibility for what PNAA will become. This is how we move beyond legacy. This is how we build the PNA of tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rivera. President Madeline Yu, what's your call for action?
Go back to what PNAA really stands for: caring and advocacy. So, excellence in nursing is not measured by any title, it's measured by the lives we touch, the hope we give, and the legacy we leave. Thank you.
Thank you, President Madeline Yu. Dr. Marijoy Garcia Dia, what's your call to action?
I think my call to action is really going back to my theme when I was the president of PNAA. Let's continue to share our story, right? Let's lift up each other and highlight the achievements that everyone have done contributing to the growth of our organization. Let us remain resilient because moving along times and uncertain times, especially during this moment, we need to stay resilient and we need to support each other as internationally educated nurses. And of course, Dr. Rivera mentioned before, let's commit to be kind. And
Mhm.
kindness is not just speaking about helping one another, but really being kind to the true sense that we're helping each other, right? We're understanding the differences with one another. And at the same time, we're willing to commit to embrace and honor our heritage and work together through the spirit of bayanihan because we can accomplish a lot ahead of us.
Very good. And Dr. Jurado, what is your call to action?
I would summarize probably what I shared today, that the future of PNAA is not something that will happen to us. It is something that we will create together. And Dr. Rivera mentioned about honoring the remarkable legacy entrusted to us. It's always important to honor the past, but it is more important to invest in the leaders who will follow us and boldly envision what Filipino American nurses can achieve when we lead with purpose, with pride, with unity and service.
Very good. And that wraps up our session B. Before we go to our our open forum question and answer, I'd like to remind you to type in your questions in the chat box. But before you do that, let's have our break in the form of a trivia. So what I'll do is I'll type the question on the chat box and I'll also read it. Okay, and the first one to answer the correct answer is the winner of a electronic gift card. All right, so the question is, what is Dr. Rivera's theme for his presidency in 2010 to 2012? What is Dr. Rivera's theme for the complete one? It has to be complete. I believe it's more than one word. What was Dr. Rivera's theme for his presidency in 2010 to 2012? It's time to dig, right? Dig into those history books. Uh-oh. Okay, I don't see it yet.
Oh,
And we
someone did
have
it.
a winner. We have a winner. It's Faye
Thank
Marcelo.
you, Marcelo.
Faye Marcelo, please, if you would, please personal message me in the chat box your cell phone so that I can send you your electronic gift card, right, for coffee. It's not much, but hey, right? Okay, our last trivia. Okay, is that the next trivia? No, no, no. I'm gonna ask a different question. Okay, so the next question is, what does Spark, which is the theme of President MJ Dia, stand for? Ayan. The question is, what
Oh, Warley
Oh,
got it.
Wally.
Oh, Warley got it really quick. All right, brother, I got your cell phone. I thought that was a difficult question, but I guess not for Warley. All right, Warley, you won a electronic gift card. Okay, well done. That's Spark is stories of people, accomplishments, resilience, and kindness. That was the COVID presidency, Dr. Dia. Dr. Diaz Spark. Okay, so let us go to our chat box, and I'm gonna have to go and review, right, and find. Perhaps Carol Robles, our chair of communications and marketing, and our co-chair Angelo Bosque help me find those questions. It's a lot of digging we're gonna have to do here. And please unmute yourself and start to ask questions if you see the first one. But I'm going back and going back to from the beginning, right? Okay.
Okay, so Manny from
Yes.
Eileen Sue.
Yes.
Beyond legacy is about building something greater than ourselves. What one commitment must every PNAA leader embrace to ensure the organization continues to thrive for generations to come?
Thank you, Carol. And any one of our panelists, you can just say, "I'd like to take that question." So go ahead. Beyond legacy is about building something greater than ourselves. What one commitment must every PNAA leader embrace to ensure the organization continues to thrive for generations to come?
If I may answer, Manny,
Go ahead, President Madeline Yu.
everyone should have integrity. Go back to
Mhm.
your own honesty, integrity, that you sleep good at night, that what you did was good for you, yourself, good for the community, good for your patients, and not just bad news today that, are in the headlines of somebody enriching herself or himself that puts a bad spot on nurses. So shine, PNAA members, do the excellent things that you do, have integrity in everything that you do, and think not only of yourself, but of the organization that you stand for. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, President Yu. Okay, the next question, I believe it was answered before, but if anybody wants to add anything else to this question, how can we inspire nurses of Filipino descent to join, actively engage in, and remain committed members of our organization? Is there any one of you who wants to add more to this? How can we inspire our Filipino nurses or nurses of Filipino descent to join, actively engage, and remain committed members of our organization?
Yeah, follow the kinder engagement, right? You need
Uh-huh.
to know them, right?
Yeah.
Need to know what matters most to them.
Mm-hmm.
Involve them. That's the
Yes.
next I. Nurture growth. It's important, right? Inspire them. And D, drive with purpose. E, empowered through psychological safety. They are free to ask questions, equity and advocacy, and recognize their contributions and achievements. And thank them, for example, for joining the organization.
Great, great. Thank you, Dr. Rivera. As a follow-up question from Cecilia Utleg, she says, the next generation is harder to engage than before. Perhaps because of balancing school, work, family. So instead of expecting them to come to us, what programs can PNAA create that fit their lives? I guess, in addition to what we already have, because we have so many programs, right? But can you think of other programs perhaps that would fit better their busy lives? Anyone from our panel?
Yeah,
I mean,
I can, yeah,
Go
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 ahead,
ahead.
ahead, Doc.
Dr. Dia, go ahead.
I think we have a lot of opportunities. It's really a matter of which ones appeal to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because from an educational opportunity, we're providing that, but are those relevant for them? What kind of content
Mm-hmm.
will appeal to them? Is it providing tips on how to become an influencer? Right? How do we influence them to become that future leader? What's
Mm-hmm.
relevant for them, right? I know in other organizations they have networking opportunities like doing, and I think we did this before in the past, like doing like a world cafe. So
Mm-hmm.
you're almost doing sort of like a speed dating, so you go from one table to another, right? And I think I've seen this for so many years. We try to blend in with people that we're familiar with, but
Uh-huh.
maybe we need to open opportunities for different generations to talk with each other. So this way we can learn and understand from each other.
Yes. Very good. Okay, Dr. Rivera, you wanted to add something.
No, I'm good.
I think that was me.
Oh, Dr. Jurado, go
I
ahead.
was thinking of flexibility and well-being that was mentioned previously, because the next generation of leaders are committed to excellence, but they also value work environments that recognize the importance of balance. And Ray mentioned psychological safety, so it is important to have that balance and think about things that they could dial in while maybe they are driving, maybe have a podcast that they could tune in, uh, things that they could do on their own while they have their own time, but at the same time, uh, you try to make sure that uh, have inclusion and belonging, because this group also, they want diverse perspectives. They welcome
Mhm.
that, and that they would like to somehow feel respected in a way. So
And Manny,
Yes, go ahead.
also learn how to communicate with each generational style. So, how do you communicate with a boomer like me? And how do
Mhm.
you communicate with a Gen Xer or
Yes.
Generation Y? And I think Q by Dr. Mauricio has addressed that in one of her sessions. So, that's something where we can start. How do you communicate with each other?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, President Yu. And I invite you, all our panelists, to please read in the chat box. There's so many comments and compliments to all of you. So when you get a chance, get busy in the chat box. There's a lot of comments and good compliments for you there. And I'm looking for the next question. Carol, did you find the next question, or Angelo?
But there's
Uh,
so many of them, Manny.
Go ahead, ask the next one.
Okay,
Questions, not comments. Question.
yes. Let's see. Uh, Oh,
Yeah,
these
I
are
see a lot
mostly
of comments.
comments. Yeah, mostly
I'm looking for
comments.
a question. Okay, here we go. We found one.
I have a question that, so the question was, how did you manage conflict or differing opinions with the executive board or membership?
Uh-huh.
That is a great question, right?
Okay.
So, how to manage them, right? The goal is not to eliminate disagreement, it will always be there. It is to ensure that this agreement remains respectful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Productive, and focused on achieving the best outcome, right?
Uh-huh.
So the practical approach is start with a shared purpose. We are here because we are all passionate about PNAA.
Mm-hmm.
Remind everyone of the common goal, right? In health in the hospital, we talk about patient safety. You know, everybody's just like, yeah, yeah, okay, which is true. The quality outcome or team success, right? Then listen to understand, not to respond. Listen to
Mm-hmm.
understand, okay, and not to respond. Allow each person to explain their viewpoint without interruption, right? It's about active listening and focus on ideas, not individuals, and seek common ground. Use
Seek.
data and evidence when available. So let the data speak about it, right? And again, I love creating a psychological safety. Please read Fearless Organization. I love that. Encourage respectful dialogue and make it clear that differing opinions are welcome and valued, and diverse perspective often lead to stronger decisions and greater innovation. And agree to disagree when
Uh-huh.
necessary,
Yeah.
right?
I
And
love those
that's very important.
suggestions. I love
Yes.
those suggestions, Dr. Rivera. I also would like to bring a point with regards to us as an organization. We
Mm-hmm.
have processes and structures in place. And I think that's one thing that it's very important for members to know from the get-go in terms of our bylaws, right? What are the policy and procedure? How do we resolve conflicts using Robert's rules,
Mm-hmm.
majority voting, right? And this way we're not only marrying the strategies that Dr. Rivera elaborated, but also we're leaning in on this existing structure and processes to make sure that we are fair, that we are treating everyone fairly, and that we are resolving it in an ethical process.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Dia. Dr. Rivera, when you mentioned listen to understand, I just couldn't help myself. A song played in my head, make me a channel of your peace. It just kept playing in my head. But that's a beautiful song. That's a beautiful message you have. Listen to understand. Now let me post the next question from Marife Axon Armstrong. How can we ensure we are nurturing the new generation, and how can we make the new generation feel heard and included?
So I would say that you need to know what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the listening is the important part of there. That you need to address their needs in a way. Um, and again, I was about to answer Ian's, which could be connected to this.
Go ahead.
That in mentoring, and it's important to find a mentor. That's why my suggestion to this new generation is find mentors. But in establishing a mentorship relationship, mentor mentee relationship, you always have to remember that it's a two-way street. You know, and when I say two-way relationship, it's not just your mentor expecting from the mentor to understand all your needs, but at the same time, think about what your mentor, what makes him tick in a way. And that relationship will become even more cultivated when it's a two-way street. Um, and branching it to Ian's question about the barriers and challenges that we aspiring leaders need to overcome, because that's again from a next gen perspective, is continue to be assertive. Sometimes you may not always be recognized in the room. Don't don't take that negatively. Don't be shy in a way, but assert yourself, but respectfully. um Oftentimes you may hear a word or phrase that you didn't like and that turns you off. you know don't be that. If try to always um, focus on ideas, as Dr. Rivera mentioned, not just people. Sometimes we are turned off with people so immediately, right? um, so focus on those ideas, and again, as I've said, don't be too. There is that plant that once you touch it, it somehow it becomes smaller. There's that plant in the Philippines. I think in Ilocano we call it bain bain.
Mm.
Those of you Ilocano here, the moment you touch it, they crumble, right? And next gen should not be that, right? You gotta keep your spine strong and
Mm.
represent yourself well, and be consistent and be insistent. uh, Continue to be respectful and find people that you could align your needs in a way, and those that who can address your needs. I guess I'm bubbling here, but go ahead, other
Yeah.
people.
But
And
I
Manny, I'm sorry. You can bring also the young ones to the national conventions. If
Yes.
you look at people like Dr. Horado, Dr. Rivera, Dr. Dia, you'll all be inspired. Because when I was a new PNAA member, I was just, my jaw dropped in what a Filipino nurse can do and how she can be up there in the stage talking to hundreds and thousands of people, and what confidence and what knowledge. So use these leaders to inspire the young ones, because they can have in themselves thoughts like, oh, I can do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Manny, I also
Go
would
ahead.
like to add that we're multi-generational nurses, right?
Ah,
We have aunts, uh,
yes.
parents, and
Mm.
ourselves who are nurses.
Yes.
We have always been passionate in trying to highlight the stories of moms and their daughters. One example that I can think of, and she's actually here, is Dr. Lozelle Greenwood,
Mm-hmm.
right? Do you know who her mom and dad is? They're
Yes.
from New
Yes,
England,
yes.
right? But look where she is now. She led PNA New England during the pandemic, right?
Yes.
Now, another example, Femari Bidona,
Mm-hmm.
who was recruited way back in the early 2000, not truly active, but became active. And you can see the energy that has been passed on to her daughter, Mariel Bidona,
Yes.
And what sparked Marielle to be active is when she actually attended the PNA New Jersey Convention Spring Conference 2 years ago. And she saw all these leaders speaking on stage, and that inspired her. Her mom did not influence her to join. She is the one who volunteered herself. So I think
Mm.
we need to look for those stories because we keep on saying, let's recruit the young generation. We have the young generation engaged. It's really
Uh,
more of how do we multiply them.
Mhm.
uh, Okay, on that note, however, there's a flip question that June Barnachea has asked, and he asks, how do you cultivate ownership and accountability among members who were recruited through personal connections rather than a deep understanding of the organization's purpose? And I've seen this, not to say that our members are all like that, definitely not. But sometimes, that's the quickest way to recruit is that you know someone and they're, they're, I guess, they don't want to disappoint you and they sign up. But then there's that challenge now to keep them renewing and keep them
Mhm.
engaged in the organization. So, um, how do we cultivate ownership and accountability among members who were recruited through personal corrections rather than a deep understanding of the organization's purpose?
I would probably view that as a positive thing. Let's
Mm-hmm.
flip. Let's look at the glass half full, right, instead
Yes.
of half empty.
Yes.
Because once people start engaging, and I can attest that from my experience, I was a PNAA member since 1992, and that's my paper. I'm very busy, just like what the other comment on the chat said. People are so busy, younger people are busy with family, juggling work, school, etc. I was in that same situation too. Way back
Mm-hmm.
in 1992, I have two jobs. I'm
Uh-huh.
raising a family, right?
Yes.
And at the same time, I was going to school for my master's. So I always renew my membership every year from 1992 up to 2002. It's not a bad thing. I'm a member, a proud member of PNAA. However, what sparked my interest was my engagement during the term of Dr. Rivera because he was a established leader and I saw how he led not only PNAA but also the American Association of Critical Nurses when he became president of the local New York chapter. And my engagement increased when I was recruited by May Mayor to be her PNAA national secretary. And her words was, Mary Joy, please become a PNAA secretary. I will bring you to places that you've never been. And it's exactly true. Because every year we rotate where PNAA is. I was able to go to PNA Kansas City, Missouri, right? I was able to go to Hawaii. I go back and forth to the Philippines. But it's really the internal motivation, but the external factors that will motivate that individual to progress their engagement and become more engaged with PNAA.
Very good.
Manny,
Yes, go ahead, President
I,
Yu.
I was also voluntold to join PNA in 2002 by my head nurse in the ICU, open heart
Uh-huh.
ICU. All Filipino nurses, now you're PNAA members. Give me your
Uh-huh.
$25. So we were enrolled, we were registered, but we didn't know what it was. We
Uh-huh.
attended our first meeting and it was so chaotic. They wanted to impeach the current president. So I'm like, why am I joining this? And there was somebody with sash that says Miss PNA. I'm like, NPA? So I'm like, we were making fun of it because they were into social dancing, they were into beauty contests, they were into sashes and tiaras, and that's not my idea of excellence in nursing. So I was voluntold, I was a member, but then when we became members, these things that occur in front of you, change it. If you don't like it, change it. So we changed it. That our generation changed it into let's make it more educational. Let's make it more professional. Let's increase the membership. Because if you say you're a leader and you look back and there's no one following you, how could you call yourself a leader? So we increased membership to 1,000 and more, and we did educational conferences every month, and we were happy with what we did. So we got rid of the tiaras and the sashes and the Miss NPAs. We became true PNA members.
Very good.
And
Okay,
I
we
will
have
add, Manny, that
1 minute. 1 minute for the last question. And as we move into the future, I think it's also important to emphasize self-care. So I want to read this question from our Gabi Sapalaran. His question, and I will ask each of you to give just one answer to this, right? What do you do for self-care as a leader?
I love traveling. So
Uh-huh.
for me, I love traveling. That is for me self-care, and and my travel is shared with my partner. So
Uh-huh.
we've seen the world, and that is how I take care of myself as well.
All right. And Dr. Dia, what do you do for self-care as a leader?
It's similar to Dr. Rivera. I spend time traveling, visiting my family back home. I think it's important for us to continue to maintain that connection. My parents are still there, and tomorrow is never promised. So always cherish the moment that you spend with your family.
Thank you. President Yu.
I'm a retiree now.
Uh-huh.
So I do mahjong. So keep keep your social interest going. Keep your family active. Meet up with your friends. Keep the connection going all throughout your day, and you will have fun.
Yes, yes. Dr. Leo Horado, what do you do for self-care as a leader?
I don't do anything. I'm just kidding. Uh, I mean, like what Ray and Mary J said, I travel a lot too, but I always connect conferences with some kind of fun. Like this time, going to Colorado Springs. Tomorrow night, I'm flying to Las Vegas and renting a car to drive to Utah until Monday, and then go to Colorado Springs. And
Wow.
it's a good way to de-stress either before the conference or after the conference. It's a good way to de-stress with friends. And this actually it's a good way. Attending conventions and conferences of PNA is very de-stressing for me because I reconnect with like-minded people, and this time you could reconnect with people you haven't seen for a year or so, and hang out and basically have fun together.
All right. Well, that's all the time that we have for tonight. As we close tonight's Kapihan, as we conclude this last episode, the 71st episode, I speak to you with a heart full of gratitude, humility, and deep appreciation. To our panelists, presidents, Dr. Leo Horado, Dr. Ray Rivera, Madeline Yu, and Dr. Marijoy Garcia Dia, maraming salamat for you've shared so much wisdom, knowledge to our Kapihan participants. When Kapihan sa PNAA began, it was simply meant to be a space where our members could come together, have meaningful conversations, learn from each other, and stay connected. But through the months and years, it became something much more. It became a home within PNAA. We shared stories, reminded one another why we belong to this organization. As chair of PNA Membership Committee, I have always believed that membership is not only about numbers, renewals, or reports. Membership is about people. It's about each other. Each nurse, each chapter, each region, the volunteers, the leaders, the members who choose to show up because they believe in our mission. Tonight, as I look back on what Kapian has meant to us, I see the true meaning of membership. connection, belonging, service, loyalty, and love for our PNAA family. Maraming salamat po. Thank you to our PNAA membership committee. Thank you to Caro Robles, Chair of Communications and Marketing, and Angelo Bosque, Co-Chair of Marketing and Communications, and Tola Arnie Florencio, who has stepped in during the time that I couldn't due to another competing engagement. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you come and join us after long days of work, after caring for patients, after taking care of families, after fulfilling many responsibilities. I thank you from the bottom of heart. Maraming salamat po. All right, Carol, let's take our photo.
Okay, let's
Manny, thank
see.
you for creating this space. You have done a magnificent job facilitating this. So we appreciate your efforts and the membership team, and obviously Carol and Mr. Bosque and everyone else.
Thank you so much.
Yes, let
We
me
hope
just
to
Thank
see
you,
you in
everyone, for
Colorado.
listening.
Thank
Yes.
you for attending.
Group photo, don't leave yet.